Hey folks, it's Rob from Rob's Movie Collection. And so now we have a new Star Wars trailer, and everyone is losing their minds. Why? Because it's so good. I asked a coworker about this. He's into it. He likes Star Wars, and I asked him what he thought of it, and he kind of sighed and said, "Well, the trailers always look good." And he's absolutely right. The trailers always look good. The trailer to The Last Jedi looked great, just like the one The Force Awakens. Disney knows how to hype their product. That doesn't mean that it's a good product. A lot of damage has been done to the Star Wars mythology with those first two movies, and no doubt there will be many divisive aspects to this new one as well once all the hype is over and it actually comes out. So, how did this happen? Who's to blame for the current state of Star Wars? This is a state where Han Solo is dead. Luke Skywalker is a morose recluse with no hint of hope in him. And also he's dead. New characters are underdeveloped and boring. And 30 years down the line from Return of the Jedi, we're served with a rehash of past plots that show no creativity. Now, there are many people we can blame for this, and who have been blamed by many people, by the internet especially. Kathleen Kennedy, who for decades produced some of the best films around that have become classics. I mean, I grew up on a lot of those films, the Spielberg Lucas films, and yet she doesn't seem to understand the most basic aspect of the Star Wars universe and its characters. George Lucas picked her because he had faith in her. We all had faith in her. We thought it was a no-brainer after all she's done. J.J. Abrams, who thought instead of bringing something new to the Star Wars universe with Force Awakens, he decided to just rehash A New Hope and call it an homage. Well, you're not fooling anyone. Old X-Wings, new X-Wings. Gee, thanks for the new paint job. Very creative. Rian Johnson, who... Yeah, I don't know what happened here. And George Lucas. Now, this is the one that most people like to go with. Everyone jumps on the bandwagon. Everyone loves to blame George Lucas for everything. It must be his fault. He sold out to Disney. Not quite. You see, Star Wars fanatics, if you want to see who really is responsible for the downfall of Star Wars, then turn around and look in the mirror. Yeah, that's right. When I was a kid, I was bullied. A lot. And this is way before anyone cared enough to do anything about it and start campaigns about it and, the way they do these days and be against it. So I know about bullying. And you guys just bullied the crap out of this guy. I mean, one thing is criticism, but this went way beyond that. Everyone was more than happy to just blast Lucas for his prequels. I can't tell you how many conversations I had defending those movies. I mean, sure, I know they had weak points. I know the casting wasn't always the best. The acting wasn't always on point. And perhaps the biggest point of contention, this guy. I was 33 when I saw this movie, and I couldn't stand him either. But then again, he wasn't really made for me. I once asked a bunch of young people, some coworkers that I had, who had been around 5 or 6 when The Phantom Menace came out, and I asked them what they thought of Jar Jar. And they loved him. They thought he was great. They had happy memories. So, it's a different perspective. And I can now kind of appreciate him, at least for the important role he had in the storyline, because he did have a reason for being there. But, that's a whole other video. I'm not going to get into that. But there were certainly many other positive points and aspects to these movies, which I have to resist going into again, because I'll just geek out and again, that's not what this video is about. But the so-called fans just focused on the weak points with a negativity and anger that in the past seems to have been reserved only for the likes of serial killers and, Hitler. No one seemed to talk about the many positive things about those movies. I mean, it was all so one-sided and, frankly, downright venomous. And not just on the internet, but writers on TV shows and movies making all jokes at Lucas's expense. Everyone regurgitating the same lame and often inaccurate points just so they can seem clever on their blogs and videos. How long did you think a person would be able to take that? Were any of you really surprised when he sold the whole thing to Disney? I mean, I wasn't. I was expecting something like that to happen. I was disappointed and sad that it had come to that, and angry that he had been driven to that point. But I certainly understood it. Whenever I was bullied, I just wanted to get out of that situation as fast as I could. In fact, Star Wars fans should actually thank and admire George Lucas for hanging on as long as he did. Because in doing so, you got things like the Clone Wars and all your little video games that you all enjoy so much. Not to mention the great expanded universe novels, which Disney has now deemed as non-canon, but which in reality gave us the classic characters in a much better future than these current movies ever could. Movies that are now being criticized and torn apart as bad and terrible legacy for the Star Wars universe. Now, little by little, we're starting to see videos showing a little appreciation for Lucas. Well, pardon my French, but where the fuck were all of you when it mattered most? Nope. No, sir. Fans thought it was more clever and funnier to attack the guy and see only one side. And now you're paying the price. And I'm sure Lucas is sitting somewhere just smiling away. And good for him. So suck it, Star Wars fans. You made your bed and now you have to lie in it. And you'll have to lie there for a long time because no matter how much criticism there is, these sequel movies make a ton of money and that's all the House of Mouse cares about. And in Star Wars, there's no time travel. I mean, no slingshotting around the sun and going back to change things. In Star Wars universes, what happened, happened. Including this. This. And this. That's just wrong and weird. I don't know. But hey, listen, anything is possible, right? I mean, maybe Disney will get sick of Star Wars and sell it back to Lucas. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Just plop your money down and go see that latest Disney masterpiece where they fix everything. Oh, but hey, don't get too attached to this guy, because given Disney's track record so far, he won't make it out alive in the new film. Enjoy, Star Wars fanatics!